So, back in February of this year, I created a short presentation on how not to get a job in the radio industry, which was polarizing to say the least. I received praise from numerous sources, including an afternoon drive guy in Toronto, a promotions director in Sudbury, a radio consultant in the UK who reposted the video on his own blog, and a professor in Alberta who showed the video to his students as a teaching aid. Conversely, I received angry emails and comments from a morning show newsreader in Calgary, and, a whole host of anonymous people claiming to be industry big shots, but not telling me who they were, so I just marked them all down as other illiterate people who somehow made it in the business, or are still struggling, and are in denial as to why they can't find a radio job. Since that time, I was promoted to program director at my workplace, and had an essay I wrote published in a textbook on how to write essays. Not that I expect that this will give me any credibility in the eyes of my detractors, but entertainment was the main goal anyway, and I'll be damned if at least a couple thousand people weren't entertained. So, on with How Not to Get a Job in Radio, Part 2. Of course, credit must be given to my main source of content, Milkman Unlimited. Milkman, Canadian radio's top resource for finding a job in the biz, provides several examples a month of people who are attempting to get into a communication and entertainment-based industry by demonstrating poor communication and showing everyone that their only entertainment value is unintentional. So, thanks, Milkman. Let's start with Chris Crush here. So good, he got away with posting twice on Milkman within a couple of months of each other. Milky must have been either in a generous mood, or hoping that if I didn't catch the first one, I'd get the second one. Luckily, I got both. Clearly looking for publicity, I'm not hiding his name like I will the rest. We'll start with his first post in March. He's worked all over, including Seattle, New York, Spokane, Atlanta, and Penticton, British Columbia. Good thing he mentioned that last one, since it might be the only place he actually worked in radio. Note that the other places he claims to have worked, he never said in radio, could have been mopping floors. A quick Google search of his name produced only this humorously embarrassing suggestion. After some unnecessary punctuation, he tells us that there's no system he can't learn. I guess it's a good thing English isn't a system, or else he'd be a liar. Now here's a cliche that annoys me. He says he's skilled in all aspects of music, from country to hip-hop. This means that I guess country and hip-hop are on completely different ends of some arbitrary spectrum, which means you've never received a request from Baytown, Texas, where the same people request both frequently. Anyway, he's done it all, as you can see. Sports, live remotes, VTs, hosted all day parts, and he even claims to have mixed my on-mix shows. What in Lord Buddha's name is a mix show, and what happened to the W in the word own? They must do them in Spokane or something. Moving on, he says he's always willing to learn from a good teacher. He must have had really bad English teachers, I guess, so he wasn't willing to learn from them. He also says he'll do anything to make the worst show the best. 'Cause he's hungry! I'm hoping that when he means anything, he means leave the mic off. I imagine that'd be about the only thing that could make this guy's shows any good. Alright, I've had enough of this post. Let's move on to number 2. Oh, he posted a picture this time, apparently of himself at a party. It's like he saved every PD the time of looking him up on Facebook to find any reasons not to hire him by including this photo. That's pretty considerate. He repeats a lot from the last post, just with different spelling mistakes, like 2 C's in the word across. And remember when he said he can learn any system? He apparently just can't learn to spell their names. He's also broadened his music range to include classic rock and sports talk shows. He follows up with the wrong your and some more incorrect punctuation, but he's about to redeem himself, you see, because he possesses a great quality. He's willing to whatever. Please just stay where you are, Chris. He does say thanks at the end, I guess expressing gratitude to anyone who took the time to read through this minefield of horrific writing. Let me be the first to say, no. Thank you, Chris. Our next would-be local celebrity is another poor writer who claims to have more talent than ego, which seems egotistical in itself. And believe me, if there's anything I know about, it'd be ego. He uses the wrong to 3 times and screws up the punctuation on its. But none of this matters because it's time to make some money! Why read any more, right? Hire this man. Who cares if he can't write? He's telling you it's time, right now, this second, to make money. Green, fat stacks, yo. Now here's what I never understood. If you're posting on Milkman, it is likely because you don't currently have a job, or you won't very shortly after your employer sees you're trying to find greener grass somewhere else. So how is someone with no job going to tell me how to make money? That's like a sterile woman telling you how to give birth. Doesn't instill a lot of confidence. Well, better continue, I suppose. He does have an impressive resume. 26 years means he was working in radio almost before I could figure out how to shit in something other than my pants. He's also got great production skills in producing, which has led to many awards, apparently. Ladies and gentlemen, the International Production Award for producing productions goes to this guy. Now, here's where it all goes south for me, though, because, the rest of it I could handle. He says he doesn't follow direction well. Now, I can't speak for everyone, but I imagine that regardless of experience, no one wants to hire someone who is just automatically going to be a pain in their ass and is not going to do anything they're told. Hell, I had to put up with that as a student PD. $0 an hour. Hell, I paid for the privilege for 60 hours a week of dealing with assholes and not having the power to kick them out of the program or essentially fire them. You think I'll ever put up with that type of employee again now that I can get rid of them? Not a chance. The best part about it is that he says he's a great mentor. Now, how can you be a great mentor when the example you set is that you don't listen to your boss and you just do whatever you want? Great if you're mentoring anarchists, but not so much if you're trying to create an actual productive member of society. And this last example isn't so much about how not to get a job in radio, but how you shouldn't go about getting a job in radio, if that makes any sense. This young lady presents herself very well, the writing's pretty good, and she's professional, but she says she'll work for the measly wage of $400 a week. Now in Ontario, that's slightly below minimum wage if someone were to be offered 40 hours a week. But what radio station is offering someone 40 hours a week with no experience? And if she were in BC or New Brunswick, where minimum wage is $8 and $8.50 an hour respectively, well then $400 a week means she'd be making $1.50 to $2 an hour above minimum wage. So $400 a week would not be that measly, especially if you're slugging it out as a board op for 10 hours a week, or trying to get noticed by the top brass as a hard enough worker that they might give you some music or production grunt work to do so you can quit one of your other two jobs. She'd have been better off leaving the money part out, or just leaving it at saying she'd work for minimum wage, which is good to hear because, well, that's about what radio stations are willing to pay a person with no experience. If you want to be taken seriously in any business, you have to show that you are serious, even in the fun-filled world of radio. That garbage from Chris Crush? Well, that's not someone seriously looking for a job. That's someone looking to be made fun of. The guy with more talent than ego? He's serious about causing headaches for your organization. And Aussie Gal is serious about making the same measly amount of money that everyone else does starting in the business because she was probably lied to by professors that told her that radio is a glamorous job where you're going to become ultra rich. Well, sorry kids, only if your last name is Stern, Limbaugh, Hannity, or Beck. Once again, I'm Buckley, and you're welcome.